It's funny because I was kind of thinking, no one really wants to see the origin story anymore and see Bruce's parents die. It's obviously not in the script, and then you end up thinking, because that scene's not there, I've basically got to play his parents' death on my face every single scene. He's lived as a recluse, ever since, basically, and kind of living in an alternate reality where he thinks being Batman is the only way he can heal himself and heal the city.
There's a serial killer in Gotham, and he's trying to figure out what's going on. He's kind of following the breadcrumbs, which eventually leads him to Selena, that works at a club, and everything kind of begins to intertwine. So I have information that he needs, he has information that I need, and so we're kind of stuck working together.
Bruce created Batman to this very binary worldview where he's kind of like, there are good guys and there are victims. There are bad guys and there are victims. Then Selena comes along and he's like, well, you're a thief, you're a bad guy, you're basically exactly the same as Penguin, you're kind of ostensibly a drug dealer. And yet, harshly because he needs her to achieve what his aims are, it's also his body is kind of saying, like, there's something in her that I recognize, and it's kind of going against his snap judgment that happened at the beginning.
Now, you each have done a lot of projects, but when you do these type of films, there's a lot that goes into it. People judge you, whether you're the right fit or not. And then there's the background. And, it's almost like you have to read everything there is about the character. How much time did you spend, Rob, reading everything you can, whether it's the comic books, obviously the script, and then there's the previous movies?
Didn't read the script.
I got cast, and then I had about 9 or 10 months before I started shooting. And obviously you're just like, it's terrifying. Like when you do a movie where like and the first thing you feel is that kind of fan reaction, and it feels like crazy. Like so I was slightly more positive than I was expecting, which is kind of nice. But like you kind of immediately, you start going and obsessing over the script. But then I got so many of the graphic novels. I hadn't, because I guess in England there's not that much of a kind of comic book culture, and I didn't really grow up with comic books, and so I hadn't even really read any of the major classics. I'd seen all the movies, but in reading the graphic novels, I kind of saw where Matt had found a lot of his inspiration from, and there's a tone in the graphic novels which is slightly different from the movies, and it's this kind of, it's way more noir, it's way more kind of, there's a tragedy inside the story which is really embraced in the graphic novels, which I thought was really interesting, and I wanted to kind of put into the movie as well. And also, Batman in tons of the graphic novels is like completely insane, like as far as I could tell. And I was like, I like that aspect of it. It's just more fun to play. And so I was I wanted to get little tasters of that in the movie as well.
So with this movie, it makes you reimagine vengeance. Do you guys feel like with this movie making Batman and be reimagined, with vengeance being with vengeance being reimagined, do you think that vengeance is still, how do I want to say this? Like, did it really serve its purpose in this movie?
It's like the same thing with I am someone who likes to hold grudges, and
You really
and
do.
I feel like I get a lot of fuel out of it. Like probably 80% of my life is to really just stick it to somebody else.
Do. We're gonna talk about this later.
And so I think there are definite kind of benefits. There's definite positives. Probably, it's a little extreme where Bruce is taking it, but I get it, and he's trying to work out I think in our telling of the story, he's got a lot of pain inside his head, and he's he's working it out on people's faces. You got to. It's unhealthy to keep it inside. And you need to pummel it out.
But that's also what the movie explores, which is really interesting, is this idea of vengeance and what it means.
And I think he even Bruce doesn't particularly know what vengeance is. He's compelled to you know, he's just being compelled to go out in the street and fight every night because he doesn't know what else to do.
Well, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Leslie.
Nice to meet you.
So good to be with you both. How are you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
That is such a cool
I'm
t-shirt.
Is that like a Picasso Batman shirt?
Oh,
It's a
Van
Starry
Gogh.
Oh,
Night.
Van Gogh. Sorry. That's what I
Batman.
meant. That's what I
Starry
meant.
Night
Come on, it's
Batman.
been a long day, Rob.
Rob, I have to start with you because the only scene in this movie that made me literally cringe in fear and turn away from the screen was when Batman reached into a cage with a live bat to retrieve a clue, and I can't do that. If that were my point in the movie, I'd have said, "I'm sorry, it's over, I'm out."
Leaving.
Did you really do it? And are you scared of bats at all?
I'm weirdly not scared of bats.
They're not scary. They're cute.
They're kind of cute, and like, and
Minus
no.
COVID. I
yeah.
don't want to blame the bats for that.
And that weirdly though, that scene was one of, because it's one of the strangely difficult scenes because the suit only allows you to move your arm in a certain way, and if you're at the wrong angle and trying to twist your arm around and do kind of delicate motor functions, it's almost impossible to get the thing out of the cage. It literally took about 1 million takes to get that right. They looked so awkward. You're like, oh god.
You know, I've been wanting to ask you this question for over a year now, Rob, about the first teaser that came out. When you say "I'm vengeance" and then you beat down that bad guy with all those punches at once, it's so awesome. And that was the moment that I genuinely felt that you were the perfect casting for Batman. So I wanted to ask you about that moment specifically, saying "I'm vengeance," how you decided how you were going to say it, and then the choreography for the punches on that one guy. That was so awesome.
I think that was the first time we started rehearsing, and the entire fight was choreographed before I even turned up, except for the last two punches, which I kind of wanted. I talked to Rob Alonso and said, like, I really think there should be some gratuitous ones when he's clearly unconscious afterwards, to make it, to really going to set this up as a different type of Batman. And and kind of, there's something about not wanting to be too performative and saying "I'm vengeance." I wanted to say it as the guy is losing consciousness, so it goes into his dreams.
Ooh, you're twisted.
It's like, I really want his future to be really, really damaged. I mean, I didn't even realize, because once you're in the rhythm of it, I didn't realize how much work it had actually been, and it took me quite a long time that I felt like absolutely broken. I shaved my head afterwards.
You did?
Yeah, and I mean, there's a picture of me just the day I shaved my head, I literally looked like I've been living under a rock for a long time. I hadn't literally seen the sun for about 18 months. Yeah, I kind of only feel like I'm vaguely coming back to normal now. But
This is you normal?
Yeah. But yeah, it was kind of, I mean, knowing that Matt Reeves, like, he's been on it for like 5 years.
Oh man, poor Matt.
I mean, and it's kind of, I don't think anybody expected
Matt needs a vacation.
Yeah, 100%. But then we saw the movie the first time 3 days ago, and it's funny, even though when you've been involved in something, you kind of think you know what's happened and what's been being made, and then it's just the level of craftsmanship. I'm so proud of him and so kind of proud of being a part of it, and it's just so impressive to me.